So Tim, one of the things that, of course, Goose Island is known for is your barrel program.
Yep.
And you started pretty early on, like in the early 90s. Was it like 6 barrels?
Yep. It started at our Clybourne Brew Pub. Our brewmaster, Greg Hall, was at a beer dinner with the head distiller of Jim Beam, and basically they got talking at this beer, bourbon, and cigar pairing dinner about like collaboration opportunities, and
it's just 2 guys at a dinner, and now it's all this.
Yeah, and he asked like, hey, we'd like to put beer into a bourbon barrel to celebrate our 1000th batch, and it came to this.
So you start with 6 barrels. We are at the barrel facility. This is its own facility, which is, how big is this place?
It's about 144,000 square feet.
And they've got barrels everywhere. In fact, right now you called this the library.
Yep, it's part of our event center here at Goose Island, and basically it's a good opportunity to see like all of the barrel beers that we've made over the years. It's pretty neat.
So you call it a library. Is it cool if I check out some of these, or how does that work?
Yeah, right. Bring it back.
It feels very, very Hogwarts in here. Like, is there any serious study that goes on in here?
We do a lot of beer dinners and education, whether it's pairing cheese with beer or just focusing in on a specific style. This is kind of creates a nice environment for that artistry.
So with the barrel aging, let me ask you some pretty basic questions. Why barrel age a beer in the first place?
I think it lends a unique note to beer that wouldn't be there otherwise. You can pick, depending on which route you take, you can go for the maturation, or you can go through that secondary fermentation using wild microbes, in which case you get acidity. The barrel maturation, you get a lot of that wood tannin, you get some biscuit and vanilla notes, tobacco. You also pick up some residual alcohol, which further emphasizes a lot of the complexity that is in the beer.
Just feels different in your mouth too, right? I mean,
for sure.
And some of it can be just straight rocket fuel.
Mm-hmm. But you need to create a beer and have a foundation to stand up to all of that.
So Bourbon County is kind of like the standard for barrel.
The benchmark.
Yeah,
yep.
that's what we all know and love, and that's when somebody has one of those in their fridge. You invite yourself over to their house. This every year it's different. You're rotating different flavors. Can we talk about?
Yeah.
The 2019 would have been the most recent release as we're taping this.
Definitely. So like as we walked through Fulton Street today, we have a program amongst the entire brewing team where everybody gets to bring to the table their new ideas, their new combinations of fruits, flavors, spices, and whatnot, and ultimately we get to vote on like which one will be the next Bourbon County variant for that year.
How many variants are there now?
It depends on the year. We've typically ranged from 5 to about 8 or 9 or so, and that's dependent on like adding adjuncts to the beer, utilizing coffee. We periodically change up the brew house recipe itself, in the case of wheat wine or barley wine. We also like to play around with the variety of barrel and really accentuate the uniqueness of individual barrels.
If I have a Bourbon County in my beer fridge, and full disclosure, they don't last as long in my beer fridge as they probably should. Like I just don't have the patience. How long ideally should you be holding on to something like that? Is there a point where you've waited too long, or?
No, it's honestly up to you. I mean, we package the beer when we know it's ready, and it's up to the consumer to kind of decide when they want to drink it. Obviously, usually you want to have it around some sort of celebration or like Hallmark event.
Right, no,
that's important too.
I will say that is something I have adhered to. Like, every time I've cracked one open, there has been an occasion.
There's always an occasion.
It's not like the occasion can't be, it's Tuesday. Mm-hmm. I mean, I suppose you do what you want. You drink your beer any way you want. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life, but an occasion is what.
A memorable beer for a memorable event.
Because they're not really easy to get your hands on, or they're not super widely distributed. You have to kind of almost have to know somebody, right?
Definitely. Well, I mean, these days, I mean, they're out there.
They're out there a little bit more now than they used to be.
Yeah,
all right.
For sure.
But I imagine you get calls all the time. Hey, Tim, old buddy, old pal, help me out.
Especially with social media, you get kind of catcalled by people you haven't heard from in like 5-10 years. Like, hey, about that Bourbon County. I'm like, we knew each other when we couldn't even drink beer.
I lived across the hall from you at Augustana. How about hooking me up? You're getting emails like that.
I get those, yes.
Perfect. Well, can we kind of take a look around this facility?
Yeah.
It's massive. I'm going to warn you at the outset. it kind of feels a little bit like the last 30 seconds of Raiders of the Lost Ark. I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
It's one of those wonders of the world.
And
sure.
how many? Do you have any idea how many barrels you have right now?
We like to give a range. We can't really say specific numbers,
Well,
but
yeah,
I'd say
I'm not trying to get you in any trouble here, Tim.
between 5 and 12,000.
Okay,
is fair.
Between 5 and 12.
Yeah,
That seems. Okay.
let your imagination do the work.
Well, no, I think you're gonna. Here's a fun thing to do at home. See if you can count all the barrels.
Yeah.
And if you get the right number, there'll be a special prize at the end of the episode. I'm kidding. We don't have the budget for that. But let's take a look at the facility.
Yeah.
Right, Tim. So ordinarily, this floor would be packed with forklifts going to and fro. They were kind enough at Goose Island to give everyone the day off, so we wouldn't be disturbed. We're just here on a good day, I guess. But ordinarily, this part of the barrel complex would be used for what?
Basically receiving and releasing barrels to head back to Fulton Street. So all the beer that's made at Fulton Street is tankered over here, and then where it sits to age, and basically after that we then rack it out of barrels into a tanker, and then it sends back to Fulton Street.
And we're about 2 miles away from the Fulton Street Brewery.
Yeah,
So
a lot of people ask whether it was a better idea to do tankering or just build a pipeline.
Yeah, I mean, you can't.
We went the tanker.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to go. So this facility is for taking the barrels, and this is where you process it.
Yeah, so this kind of red area is our processing floor. And basically we'll line the barrels up, we'll rack out of the tanker directly to the barrel. And we have about 6 employees here working on the barrels full time. From filling to emptying to sanitation to running lab QC in this room right here. It's a very...
Lab QC stands for quality control, not Quad Cities.
Yes.
Just throwing it out there. So the barrel comes, you fill it in with whatever beer you want to barrel age.
Yep.
You then put it somewhere to quietly do its thing, right?
Yeah.
Can we go to that place?
Yeah, definitely.
Is it cool if we make a little bit of noise? So being in the heart of Chicago, a town that has 4 seasons, is good for the beer that you barrel age.
Definitely, yeah.